Story 1. Humanity's Beacon in the Goliath's Shadow. In the vast canvas of the cosmos, humanity's debut was subtle, their scientific novelties a mere few brushstrokes in the grand portrait of galactic knowledge. They brought with them quaint innovations in the field of radioactivity and a smattering of medical miracles. Yet, their entrance into the interstellar community was met with the same fanfare as the unremarkable drift of asteroids across the void. They were learners, adapters, sharers of culture, and the cosmic clock ticked on. The Zenthraki, however, were a different breed, a species sculpted from the essence of predation, their evolution a testament to the survival of the fiercest. From their origins as solitary titans, they cultivated a culture of hyperaggression, necessary for subduing the formidable fauna of their home world. With the advent of their societal cohesion came a thirst for expansion that the galaxy had seldom seen. They swarmed over lesser celestial territories, breeding warriors at a staggering pace, their offspring maturing to battle readiness with frightening speed. Their expansion was a natural disaster wrought in flesh and will, unstoppable as the pull of a black hole. Their expansion inevitably brought them to the doorstep of the Latharans, whose interstellar influence was underpinned by a network of alliances, including an accord with the seemingly inconsequential humans. The Goliath of the Zenthraki faced down the Davidian collective of the Galactic Dozen, with humanity as its least notable member. But the Zenthraki, for all their might, had overlooked the subtle power of human spirit, the kind of power that doesn't gleam in the vacuum of space but hums within the chest of every human: hope. The opening salvos were disastrously lopsided. The Ixian engagement went down in history as a massacre, with alliance forces decimated for every Zenthraki fallen. The subsequent battles followed suit. However, it was humanity's actions, seemingly small against the vast backdrop of war, that shone like stars in the night. War is an ancient narrative, its plot a dance with death, where every step and turn decides who falls and who stands. But humanity wove a new strand into this narrative, the profound concept of self-sacrifice. This was an alien script to the galaxy's old tale, the notion that an individual might willingly fade into the eternal night for the sake of the mission or another's life. Reports began to surface bearing witness to human troops, even lone warriors, charging headlong into certain demise to afford their comrades a single precious moment more. Tears were shed by many species for the fallen humans, but the legacy of their actions inspired countless more. The galaxy took notice. What kind of beings would embrace their own end for others? This question echoed through the stars, and soon the media swarmed, broadcasting the tales of these pink-skinned sentients to every corner of the universe. The siege of the city of Kulnak was the turning point. The star divers, humans adept in orbital insertions, descended in their meteoric vessels to shatter the siege. When the Zenthraki breached Kulnak's defenses and streamed into civilian quarters, their swath of destruction was unchecked until human cunning and valor met their advance. A human, armed with his electromagnetic thunderbear, cut through the enemy ranks, his actions a defiant stand against overwhelming odds. His one-man resistance was a guerrilla masterpiece, drawing blood for every inch of ground conceded. In the midst of the onslaught, a civilian's desperate sprint caught his eye. As the Zenthraki aimed their infernal weapons at her, the human positioned himself as a living barrier, a moment immortalized by the alien press. The galaxy watched, breath held, as a human chose annihilation with the ease of one picking a morning beverage. The universe witnessed a human accept the final silence, not with resignation, but with the firm resolve that his action was correct, noble, and necessary. In this singular act of heroism, Humanity's true contribution to the galaxy was unveiled, not a scientific breakthrough or a novel technology, but the pure embodiment of selfless courage. The universe was left to wonder and perhaps fear the depth of humanity's resolve. For if they would willingly face oblivion for a stranger, what might they endure for their kin, their planet, their very existence? Story 2. The Party Crashers in Galactic Gambit. The command deck, a symphony of blinking lights and hushed tones, was unusually spirited today. Commander Vortex, a man whose metals clanked with the weight of past glories and untold stories, was lost in thought. His gaze occasionally flitted to the hollow screen, where stars danced oblivious to our mortal quandaries. Dr. Flux, with his hair resembling the aftermath of an electrical storm, was vehement in his stance. Commander, the Zephyrite of Sector 736 are our best shot. Their tech is light years ahead, and their battle cruisers? They make our finest look like antique space junk. I, Dr. Nova, inventor of the bubble drive and part-time skeptic, knew the Zephyrite's reputation all too well. My last encounter with them had ended with a spaceship filled with intergalactic party animals and a peace treaty signed on a napkin. Commander Vortex, while Dr. Flux's points are characteristically explosive, I'd argue we need a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. The Zephyrite are unpredictable, I said, recalling the time they'd turned a diplomatic banquet into an anti-gravity food fight extravaganza. Unpredictable, echoed Vortex, the word hanging in the air like a ship in zero-G. The world outside our ship, the Republic of Terra, depended on our decision. Yet, it was the tales of ordinary citizens, like the young cadet who dreamt of flying since she first looked up at the stars, that weighed on me. They didn't need a war, they needed hope. I proposed an alternative. What if we engage the Zephyrite not in war, but in a cultural exchange? Their young are curious, passionate. We could learn from each other, find a common ground. Dr. Flux snorted. A cultural exchange with the galaxy's most notorious party crashers? Sometimes, I said, looking directly at Vortex, the best way to change the game is not to play it. Vortex's chair creaked as he leaned forward. Go on, Dr. Nova. The Zephyrite respect strength, but they also crave respect. Let's invite their youth to Terra. Show them art, music, science. Let's dazzle them with the beauty of peace. We'll have a stronger alliance than any forged in battle. I could see the idea taking root in Vortex's mind. It was bold, unconventional, and entirely in keeping with the Republic's values. The debate raged on, but a seed had been planted. As I argued for a future where intellect and culture triumphed over brute force, I sensed a shift in the room. Vortex was known for his decisive actions, but today, his decision would shape more than just the outcome of a war. It would define the soul of the Republic. The story of our interaction with the Zephyrite would be told across the galaxy, I mused, a tale of a turning point where we chose to extend a hand, rather than a fist, to those who had always been ready for a fight. As the meeting adjourned, I caught a glimpse of something rare on Vortex's battle-hardened face, a spark of hope. And in that moment, I knew that whatever the outcome, we had already achieved a victory.